Welcome, everybody. Today on Bugbear's Basement, we will be talking about the Punisher.
Punisher.
Welcome, everybody. Today on Bugbear's Basement, we will be talking. All right, everybody. We got a really good show here lined up for you today. The Punisher. And we're going to be seeing his first appearance in The Amazing Spider Man, issue number 129. Of course, before we get into that, we want to talk about all our links that we have and get you guys involved in what we're doing. Of course, we have our fan speak on Facebook. If you are not part of that, please go and become part of that. We also have links to me for getting on the show and also getting on the fan edition. You can also seek out Pixel Trader for that. We have our podcast, which we need to do more of those, and I'm going to be getting on that. And of course, we have our donation button to help us with giveaways on this channel. So thank you all for being here, and let me jump right over and talk to my panel today. So I'm going to start here with Tank because this is Tank's choice this week, and Tank, you chose the Punisher, dude. How awesome is that?
Oh, way cool. Way cool. This is a classic. I own a reprint of this. I love this comic. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, and they did reprint that quite a bit. I have seen that around many times, but I actually read this when it came out, so it's really that was a great time in Spider-Man comics, actually, I think. Anyway, Booster, how you doing today? How is the weather down there in beautiful New Zealand?
I'm doing all right, but beautiful New Zealand has crappy weather at the moment, I'm afraid.
Oh, really? Because I got beautiful weather going on here.
Well, la-di-da for you.
Oh, okay,
Enjoy
fine.
weather.
I am enjoying my great weather. And how are you doing
Good.
today, Denali? It's was it a good day for you? I know it's late night there for you now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of cool, so it's not as humid as during the day. But I'm ready to talk about the Punisher.
Yes, and we all definitely are. Of course, we're going to do a little bit of news before that, but before I jump over to the news, I do want to come over here and say hello to the chat. And we have over here Joshua Hughes, of course, always a early riser and first to get in, and he says, "Hail Raven." We have P Money, "Hail Raven," "Hail Starfire," "Hail all who love." Well, that's very nice of you, P Money. We got Kat in here. It is. That was a nice sentiment. We got Kat in here. She says, "Hi, Chester. I'm finally able to catch one of these from the beginning." Yes, well, we're very happy to have you. We have Mike Angerhauser here. He says, "Hola, Model 316. Good evening." And we're very happy to see you here. We love the things that you're doing, and hopefully your project is coming along. John
Yeah.
Dillard game the system, and he's saying, "I'm not the first." No, you're not, John. I do apologize. And we got
Yeah,
iJordan as well.
Yeah, definitely check out Artie Bear's earlier stream. Model 316 was there, and he was being interviewed by Artie Bear. So it's a good interview. If you want to know a little bit more about Model 316 and what he does, check out Artie Bear's.
Nice. Well, we really have been pushing here and other places as well. Been pushing to get Model 3's project up and running and on Indiegogo. So if you guys haven't checked that out, please go and do that because we think it's a great project and we want to see him succeed because it's very valuable to the community, him being able to create those kind of things. But of course, we're going to jump right over here into the news today. And guys, our very first article is Birds of Prey official title revealed. And it's absolutely bonkers.
It's bonkers. We're so crazy.
Oh, look, it's this lady, and she's just a Margot Robbie cuteness. Did you guys enjoy her in that movie? Do you think she was a valuable addition to that horrible thing that was called Suicide Squad?
I think she was the best part of it. I liked her outfit, her face, and her body.
So basically, she was just eye candy for you, Booster. She had no value beyond that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fine.
Well, I thought that Harley Quinn and Friends wasn't too bad of a movie.
Oh, it was horrible, dude. What are you talking about?
I like the I like the part where all the main characters survived it. You know, the three helicopter crashes that were in that movie. It was
There were three.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind Margot Robbie. I think she's a fine actress. She's not amazing. Wow, look at that performance, but she's not bad. She does a pretty good job in everything she does, I think. I do think, unfortunate for her, if I noticed that she's unfortunately one of those ladies who's aging very fast, which shouldn't matter, but it does, and I think it's really unfortunate for her. But she is a cutie. She is definitely. And of course, she's still doing her things because here, this is the release of the title. How we got it, it was on Instagram, and it says "Birds of Prey," and she penned in here, and the fabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, and she puts a little kiss on there just for you, Booster, just for you. Now,
Oh. Whew.
whew, so what do you guys what do you guys think of that name?
It's so long. I'm never gonna remember that.
No, but is it? Do you think it's
Bob?
hinting at?
What it's hinting at is, hello, fellow kids, how do you do?
A
We're
little
so
bit.
kooky.
Okay, Danelle, you got to help me out with the actual analyst here, please.
So the fabulous I can't even say it without a straight face. Yeah. Uh, Basically, it looks like their bird of prey are gonna break Harley Quinn out, and this is gonna be a Harley Quinn vehicle. Not surprising to get her freedom. So this is Suicide Squad Female Edition.
Maybe,
Ka-ching.
maybe. Now, do you think the
Yeah,
the emancipation is simply her being broken out of prison, or are they talking more about the emancipation away from the Joker?
I'm really hoping that it's the emancipation away from the Joker.
Mhm.
Because that relationship just promotes like everything that people should never do in a relationship, and the fact that it's glorified so much by men and women alike as being romantic, it's kind of sick, actually.
It is, and I really, really, really hope that we don't see Jared Leto as the Joker again because he was horrible. It was just horrible. Please no,
I was
please.
one of the people who was hard in the paint defending him, man.
Well,
Because I
I
thought he
don't
was
know.
going to be good because I think he's an excellent actor.
He is an
And a
excellent
lot of,
actor. You're right.
yeah,
I
and a lot of
think
people were saying the exact same thing about the guy from The Dark Knight. Yeah, and he turned out to be excellent. But, yeah, Suicide Squad proved me bloody wrong, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right. It,
DeWolf and I are very similar in this way that uh, I might see something I didn't like. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. I remember a decade or more ago, they announced that Iron Man was coming out and Robert Downey Jr. was playing it. And I was like, what? That's good. Oh,
Mm.
I don't like that. But I said, all right, I'm going to wait and hold out. And of course, it turns out he's the absolute perfect person to have as Tony Stark.
Yeah, a
So
lot of
we have to be
choices
patient.
are surprising. But at the end of the day, though, Jared Leto was not one of them.
No, unfortunately. I was actually looking forward to be honest with you, Booster, because I was like, oh, this dude's a pretty good actor.
I think he had too much stuff going on that it wasn't quite right. Where Heath Ledger, and I guess to that extension, Jack Nicholson has the simplicity of just having a simple costume
Hmm.
that they focus more on their performance, and then um, when Jay Leto was used in the movie, he wasn't used really well. He was just like the afterthought, like that, like that lingering smell when somebody you get on the elevator and that lingering smell. You're like, what the heck is this kind of
Well,
deal?
his performance definitely stunk.
Oh wow, goodness! And Denali went
Brutal.
dark. He went real dark, guys. Um, but yeah, no, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if this movie will be a train wreck or not. I don't know. I mean, in the Suicide Squad, I mean, yeah, she's cute, real cute lady. I mean, I'm not going to deny that, but there was nothing interesting about her beyond that. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to wait and see though. I will check it out. Hopefully, it's better than the fare we've been given, and I just hope they keep it street level. Because this is the problem with Suicide Squad. It should have been street level, and they made it, world saving, and that's not who they are. That's just not what they
Yeah.
are. But let me jump over here real quick to the chat. Everyone's done all their hellos, so let's see if we have any comments yet. Now, Jordan, for some reason, says Pope Fire won't be happy, Booster. Okay.
Oh, that's to do with my comment with JP4. He wants me to pop on a stream with him to play Farming Simulator of all bloody things.
Yeah, no, I saw him playing that yesterday, I think it was. It actually looks pretty cool, man. I want to try it out myself.
Oh,
You got Valen in here, and she said Harley is best with the Joker. Yeah, no, that's what she is. She's a great supporter for the Joker. They're a good team together. You're right. Captain Canada says, I want to see Margot Robbie and Gal Gadot together in a scene. Now, Captain Canada, Booster, I can't believe there's any wholesome meaning involved in that comment. I can't.
Yeah, none at all. No, negative, in fact.
No, definitely. I'd say so. Valen says, I don't want the PC edition Harley with all her girlfriends. Okay, what did you say, Tay?
You know,
And I said I agree with Captain Canada.
Oh, goodness.
The thought that came to me because of the whole PC comment was how everybody, that culture has any, and when they mention, I want to see Harley Quinn with Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. All I can think, and it's like PC, and I saw that, no, I don't want PC in there. I'm like, all I could think is like, oh, they're gonna ship it. If that ever happens, it's gonna be shipping Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn shipped. I'm like, no.
Yeah, well,
No.
and the simple fact of the matter is, if you did have Wonder Woman in the same room with Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman would proceed to beat her into a bloody pulp and drag her off somewhere to throw her in a cell. That's about the only interaction Wonder Woman would give. Because if you've ever read DC Comics, you know that Wonder Woman is the least forgiving and most hardcore member of the Justice Corps, actually, Justice League, actually.
No, I am in it. I do see I do see Wonder Woman like that, but that doesn't mean that the creative powers of the movie film would care to follow it.
Well, they're going to do whatever they want, right? Coming back over here to the chat, Mighty Geek Studio says they're going to try to reboot Birds of Prey. Now, I've heard people say this a few times, so I'm assuming there was a TV show I didn't see called Birds of Prey.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, there's the answer. Tony Stark mirrored Robert Downey Jr. Yes, he did. It was perfect casting. They've had some really good castings. I mean, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Everyone was like, "Wow, he's way too tall. He's way too theatrical." He was perfect. He was a wonderful Logan. Nick W is here with us. Hello, sir. Welcome.
So perfect that they actually gave comic book Wolverine few inches to be no more the short guy, but about the same height.
They chose Hugh Jackman is because they wanted a tall. They didn't want their sexy male lead to be shorter than the woman.
Oh well, okay.
Which
yeah,
was
that makes sense. Yeah. Model 3 says, I think it's time for about a 5-year break from superhero movies. You think? I keep hearing year after year, is this movie, we got to have superhero movie fatigue, or we got to have superhero movie fatigue. I've been hearing it for what, 7 years? And it doesn't seem to be happening any.
Yeah. Well, we'll hold our breath and see what Captain Marvel will do.
Now, tell me, guys, who is Tara Strong?
She's
she's a veteran. She's Timmy Turner. She's Batgirl. She's Harley Quinn's in the game.
Oh, she's a voice actor.
I don't know.
I see.
Yeah, she's done a lot of characters.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Captain Canada also says, what you don't want to see Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn fight it out in the rain and mud. I've already seen that before, Captain Canada, many times.
Ooh, Lord.
All right. Let's move on to the next story, guys.
Right.
I'm gonna keep my judgment until I see it. This right here I thought was cute. Go ahead and read this headline, Janelli.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer or I should say, formerly Buffy the Vampire Slayer star Sarah Michelle Gellar faces backlash over lingerie photos reminder to not overeat on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Seriously?
Yeah. Come on, okay. Now, she put out this picture on her Instagram, I guess. Now she's still looking not a bad looking girl. I know she's a bit older. I don't know her exact age, but she's not a
Still
bad
doing
looking
what?
girl. Now I don't like them this scrawny. I like a more shape to my ladies. But
You could
yeah, well, a lot of dudes like it. But I think it's
This-
very interesting that she puts this out. And isn't this a women's empowerment that she's doing here? She did her own volition, but yet she's getting
no,
hammered for it.
no, it isn't. No, it isn't, Chester. I'm shocked because she's shaming
holy.
people into dieting. Look at that bone, health, that bone protruding out. Can't believe this actress who is supposed to be about feminine power saying this such a thing, saying that you shouldn't overeat. You should be dieting. I expected much better,
Okay, yeah,
Miss
fine.
Michelle.
Okay, this was Denali purple hair. Um, but yeah, no, I don't have any problem with this. She could do whatever she wants. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like I said, she's kind of scrawny for me, but whatever makes her happy. She's probably just trying to stay relevant, honestly. But I do find it funny that these types that are always yelling and screaming about misogyny, in fact, they tend to be the most misogynistic. I mean, because we don't care. She can do whatever she wants, but they love
Was
yelling at women.
Buffy, please don't promote diet culture. I'm sorry, diet culture. Okay,
An
look, I can say
inspiration.
this. I can say this because I'm a bit of a fat bloke. All right, just to let you guys all know. Just being fat is bad for you.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Just in case that
Anyway,
wasn't obvious.
moving on. I thought this article was very interesting. We could get into it in a second, what it's really talking about, which is basically nothing. But I thought it was very interesting because here we have a picture of Brie Larson again. And you guys should remember, I am the Brie Larson whisperer. And we see her extremely angry face here. And then we have her really, really ready to go face right here.
That's
But I think it's
determination.
funny because there's literally zero emotion going on here. And in this one little shot of Coulson, where he's not saying anything, he's not doing anything, look at all the character in that face. Look at all the expression, the emotion that's going on in this one little shot from this actor right here. And then this is the star of the show. This is the star of the show. Look at it. Drink that in, baby.
Ouch. Ouch. It hurts. It hurts.
It
The
does
pain.
hurt, dude.
The
Uh,
pain.
Come and hurt you.
yeah. Now this article isn't really much to talk about, Denali. I think uh, it's basically I don't know why that's doing that. It's basically just saying they're doing reshoots, but guys, they do reshoots for every movie in Hollywood. So I don't know why this keeps coming up as a point. But is there anything else here we want to talk about, or just move on, Denali?
Well, basically, they were talking about the reshoot because, as we know, with Disney, recent reshoots means recent redoing the whole movie, as we saw with Rogue One, Solo. Um, the only times that we don't see any reshoot, Last Jedi,
Oh wow,
it
yeah.
turns out badly.
Yeah, but there's a
So
difference. There's a difference though, because the solo movie was reshot. It wasn't
yes,
reshoots. It's a bit different,
no, no,
right?
they called it reshoots as well, even though everybody knows it was reshot. It was a reshoot.
Yeah, no, it was. It was. Um, let's see over here real quick. I see some comments coming in. Captain Canada says Christy Swanson was the best Buffy, and that's from the movie. Um, Mike Mighty
Hmm.
Geek Studio says Buffy the Vampire Slayer speaks about a healthy lifestyle. I guess I don't know what he means by that, but you are a fatty booster. We know, Jordan says. Hmm. Mike
Must
Angerhauser says resting bee face. Well, that's kind of what she does. Kat says the fat acceptance movement is insane, I think is what she wants to say. And yeah, of course it is. I mean, sure, you should try to be healthy best you can. But you know, if you want to be fat, be fat. If you want to be skinny, be skinny. It's up to you. I wish people would just quit sticking their nose in everyone else's business, right? My,
Well, Chester, hi, how you doing?
hey, DeWolf, what's going on, man? My brother's over
Hey,
here and he says, hello, I'm always so tardy. Yes, you are. Sierra Whiskey in the house, my favorite raccoon brother. And
Raccoon
they,
Riot.
yeah, Raccoon Riot, and they asking Brie Larson to make more than one phase. How dare they? I know. There's got to be some kind of ism attached to that, Sierra. I agree. So, DeWolf, we're just about to move on from this, but do you want to make any kind of comment regarding Captain Marvel reshoots are apparently happening right now?
yeah, yeah, that and the last one too. I just want to say about eating. You know, overeating is a problem, and you should eat healthy, right? And to get yelled at for trying to, better oneself is just nuts. And then we got Captain Marvel reshooting.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe it's just where they've got the camera on Brie Larson, and they're saying smile more, more brow.
I
Um,
could I could just imagine the director losing his uh, nuts. You know, he's just going nuts, going, just one expression, please, a smile, something.
Yeah, but really, really seriously, maybe, and I said seriously, I'm gonna use that same word again. Maybe they are taking this seriously, right? Maybe they've looked at what they've got and they are saying, okay, we want to do some reshoots, want to add a few things here and there. Maybe it didn't come off right as we have made it, and that's good. That's Denali talks a often about how editing can make a big deal in the production of a story. So
It's
maybe
true.
some of the editors looked at it, and Kevin Feige, our guy, whom we are trusting,
Hmm.
says, "Let's do a couple of reshoots and before we put it out."
Yes. Trust in Feige. But just as a couple of little comments to that, DeWolf. Um, one, Star Wars, the one that, the original one, A New Hope, was saved in editing because that movie it could have easily gone and been a horrible failure of a movie, but it was saved by the editors actually in that cutting
Oh
room.
yeah.
And the other one is to my brother. I sent you the link, dude. You just got to go to the email and get it. Okay, guys. So let's move on to our next one here. We're going to cover a couple more pieces of news if we can. Now, this one right here, I actually think, because these are all just fun little things we're doing, they're not very important, right? Um, but this right here, I think, is actually very interesting because we've been talking about things. And let me just kind of run with this a little bit, and I'll let you guys come in after and give your opinions. DC cancels more New Age of DC hero titles. Now, we have been saying for quite a while, for years actually, before any of this stuff happened over here in this community, many of us have been saying for quite a while that quit taking old IPs and twisting them to your politics or what have you, or whatever odd idea you have. Make new characters. Make new characters. We've been saying this for quite a while, and you know what? DC listened and they went and made new characters coming out of Metal. I don't know if you guys had read the Metal run, which I thought was pretty good. I didn't care for the ending completely, but I thought it was a pretty good run. Did you guys read Metal?
I did, and Scott Snyder is notorious for terrible endings.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but
But I think he's a fairly good writer other than that. But
it wasn't bad though.
Agreed.
It wasn't bad. But out of the stuff that happened with that whole storyline, how it affected the DC universe, the material plane that is the universe, it brought in some new characters, and from those we had this character here, Sideways. We also got the new comic with the Curse of the Brimstone. We had the Silencer. We had Damage, which is basically just a blue Hulk, and we had the Terrifics, which is kind of like an Avenger-esque team, or with
Fantastic Four, essentially. That
okay.
character even has a character called a villain called Doctor Dread. They weren't even being subtle about it.
No, okay, yeah, okay. But it's
Yeah.
basically a new team book with some of their older characters they had, like Mr. Terrific. So these books came out. Now, I'm going to let Denali do some breakdowns on this because I think it's very interesting to look at it. They are canceling The Curse of Brimstone and Sideways. Now, I don't know anything about The Curse of Brimstone. I didn't read it, but I read Sideways. And yes, it is a Spider-Man knockoff. But here's a book where they put in their diversity character they want to have. He's a mulatto boy of some kind. I'm not exactly sure what his racial breakup is, but it doesn't matter. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty well written. The art was great. I enjoyed the book. Silencer was actually very good. And that's a female assassin. Damage, I didn't. I read a little bit. I thought it was stupid. It's just a Blue Hulk. And the Terrifics, I didn't really read. I looked at it a little bit. But for me, I'm like, okay, they did what we asked. They made new characters. They put them out, and now they're killing them. And they're killing the two that they're killing, the Curse of Brimstone and Sideways. I think are an odd choice for that. And Denali's going to explain why. Go ahead, Denali.
So yeah, so based on Comic-Con, the Curse of Brimstone from last month's sales, October, they sold or they shipped 28,525 books. So they were 89, on the list.
Right.
And then for Sideways, um, which I guess would be making more sense, was 17,305.
Hmm.
And it's when you have Damage making a little bit less than that at 17,230. And then you have Silencer, which is even less than that, 1,439. And the Terrific doesn't even show up on IndieCron's first 500.
They don't
Meaning
even
they
show it.
sold.
They don't even show
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Terrific stuff.
Yeah.
That's a
So
real shame. Silencer and Terrifics are actually really excellent books.
yeah, no, Silencer are good. I haven't read the Terrific so much, but like I said, but it's odd, right? Because Curse of the
Yeah.
Brimstone is actually the best seller out of these five mentioned. Sideways is better than the rest, but yet those two are the ones getting canceled, and the ones that are doing poorly are being kept. So it's like, why are you doing that? I don't understand. Particularly with Curse of Brimstone making what 28,000. It's selling 28,000 issues in these days. That's not bad these days. I mean, in the past it would have been pathetic,
Right.
but
Well, this is Comic-Con, and these are unit shipped, so it doesn't
yeah,
really indicate how much they actually sold. So it could be that they shipped all these things, but in reality, these probably sold a lease amount. So
Hmm.
it could give us a sideway, but Anycron doesn't post that exactly dollars amount at this time.
yeah. Now, have you guys here, Tank, have you read any of these titles?
Yes, I read the first issue of Sideways, and I've read the first issue of the Terrifics, and the Blue Hulk guy damaged. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
But the Terrifics was, that was like it was a diversity comic, but it was done rather decently. Like,
Mm.
yeah, the characters are diverse and everything, but that wasn't the forefront of the story. That was just backdrop. That was character detail. The forefront of the story was at the action adventure and a little bit of slice of life for how the team interacts and all that stuff. I thought that was rather decent. I loved it. I thought the character design was fun, easy to reproduce, but kind of with all the weird shaped dimensional gateways and stuff, kind of fun for artists to draw.
Yeah, Sideways.
Um,
Yeah.
I felt that they didn't pop up in my ad feed. My ad feed's custom tuned for comics on social media and on the internet, so
Me too.
they hardly ever popped up in my feed. So I honestly I feel like it was a failure of the marketing department.
Yeah, it's it's odd to me because like I said, Sideways wasn't bad. It was pretty good comic. I mean, yeah, like Denali had said, it is a Spider-Man ripoff. He's a teleporter instead of a web slinger. But it wasn't. It was pretty good actually. Silencer was very good actually, and I'm glad they're keeping it even though it's selling poorly. But that's a pretty good comic. If you haven't read that, go check it out. Now, my brother has jumped on here. Hello, Tim. Tim, brother.
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're
Oh,
not.
good.
Yeah, great. Okay. So tell me, have you read any of
Sorry.
these books we're talking about here?
No, I haven't. I'm learning some new stuff as I'm listening to you guys right now.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, let me come over here, and I'm going to come back to DeWolf and let him give an opinion if he has one. But I'm going to read these chats first. Um, Brimstone, the not Ghost Rider from Nick W. Yeah, it does kind of look Ghost Rider. They're all ripoffs. They are. It's just the way it is. Me Grimlock King 83 says Silencer is my favorite of the New Age heroes. It's disappointing that it hasn't sold better. Yeah, I agree, dude. I do. Captain Canada says Jeff Lemire killed Terrifics with his tweet against Bad Comics Gate in the summer. That's when I dropped the comic. Yeah, no, they need to shut their mouth. And Jeff Lemire is one of the worst offenders. Yeah, go ahead, Booster. I know you have an opinion.
No, I actually think Terrifics is really great. I think it would be a shame to drop the Terrifics because of his stupid mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, they won't do that unless it's super egregious, like Chuck Dixon.
Chuck Wendig. Do not put
Wendig.
Dixon in that comment, please.
Sorry, misspoke. Too many Chucks in the
Ooh.
Chuck. So sorry, Mr. Dixon. I
Yes.
profusely
Chuck-
apologize.
Please,
Wendig.
Chuck Wendig. Just to be
Chuck
clear,
Wendig.
we love
Sorry.
Mr. Dixon. I will not
Yes.
say the chant for him because this is a family show, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, and absolutely. Dewolf, you got a
Right.
comment on this, man?
Yeah, really, I think it was said nicely about marketing. You know, marketing and PR. Those two things right there are big, and then the final one here is actually originality. You know, you guys have been able to say, well, he's like this person, he's like that person. I think what we want is some original characters, and also let the characters grow. If you're going to do some characters like this, let the world grow, let things change, and maybe morph. And you don't have to kill everybody off. If you got something going, you can have powers sometimes change slightly, have the character change, especially if it's a new character. They mature, but I'm not the one in charge of them, so
Mhm.
they can let something splatter on the floor if they like.
Yeah, well, we must say they at least they tried. They did put out new characters, even though they're all rip-offs from Marvel. But then again, DC and Marvel have been ripping each other off since the beginning.
Right.
But they did put out new characters, and we've been asking them to do that, and they did that. Marvel hasn't
Hmm.
done that, right? Um, the only new thing we've seen them run with is Miss Marvel, and she came in during the whole debacle where they didn't want to have anything talking about the X-Men because, Disney didn't own the rights and they were being all childish about it, and they kept pushing the Inhumans, which was not a good idea. It failed at every angle, and that's where she came in. And when Miss Marvel was introduced, her first couple of comics were actually pretty good. I was like, oh, this character's fun, not a bad idea. But then they ruined it because they let people grab a hold of it and just throw tons of politics on top of it. It's really unfortunate because I thought it was a good start. That could have been a good character, I think.
Hey,
Um,
I think the easy answer for why these characters weren't cancelled, particularly Terrifics and Silencer, because of minority characters. But do you believe that they might have not have been cancelled because DC has some kind of future plans with them, like a big event or something? Because
maybe
Hmm.
we do have the Heroes in Crisis thing going on. They are killing off everything right now. So
yeah,
we're going
yeah,
to see how that goes. And of course, we all know Booster Gold is guilty. You know.
yeah.
Sierra Whiskey says, what I don't like most about these comics are the lack of raccoon representation. Sad. I agree.
Oh yeah.
Raccoon
I agree,
Riot.
sir. He
Hmm.
says, dilly dilly. Yes. Captain Canada says, Silencer is awesome, but I dropped it when Patrick Zitcher took over as artist. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I did like the initial artist better. I agree. Pixar Trader says, I read the first couple of Silencer issues and nothing else. He says, yo, to Sierra Whiskey saying greetings. So, Thank you. We're caught up with the chat. All right, guys, let's move on and do one more news piece before we jump into our main topic of today. And our last bit of news. Let's see. Do I want to do this one? Did I cover? I did cover this. This is not the one.
Yeah.
Here it is, right here. Go ahead, Janelli. Let them know what this one's about, dude.
No.
So HBO Watchmen releases 2 new teaser image from the upcoming Watchmen. So scroll
Okay.
down to show them.
I'm going to do that in a second. But first thing I want to do is I want to ask everybody here: are you excited about an HBO Watchmen TV series? Who's excited about it?
No.
Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Let me see them. Let me see your hands.
No.
I see no. I don't see hands. Why don't I see hands? Thundero is here, and he says, "Evening, folks." Now, honestly, if they're not following the same storyline, they're doing an aside to it. It seems it could be good. I'm certainly going to check it out. But here's the thing: that the real reason I put this up here was to one talk a little bit about the Watchmen HBO TV show, which we'll get to in a moment. But to show this, now here's the first image. It's actually like a video, and then here's another one. Um, First of all, they're the same damn thing, for one. For two, boy, is that boring. That's so boring. I mean, could you possibly create something more boring? Even look at the people standing in the hallway. They're bored.
They're Lego NPC. They're NPCs. They're
They
all
are.
yellow.
Yeah, look at this dude over here.
They're
This dude over here. Look at it.
Lego.
See this guy right here? He's like, oh my God, how long, much longer I got to stand here? Look at him. Look at it. They're bored to death, man. Why is
Oh,
this your
God.
release image? I mean, come on.
What is this supposed to represent?
Yes, exactly.
What?
And it's like we see this kind of silly marketing coming out of these people sometimes, and I don't get it. HBO should know better. I mean, if you're gonna you want to build up hype for the Watchmen series, and I think you could easily do so. Don't give us an image of this. Give us an image of Osmandius or one of the other guys behind scenes putting on a costume or getting ready and makeup or something like that. That would be far more interesting, right?
Just
Than
are you aware that none of those main characters are going to appear in this show?
No, but I have a feeling they'll make cameos though, dude. I think we'll see some
I do
cameos.
think HBO has the ability to do a good job with it if they want to.
I think they do, yeah. But I'm just saying this is not a good job. This is a
Not
bad
so
job.
far.
No, this is disappointing coming from HBO, which is the original producer of cable network originals. And they've been doing quality work pretty much since the dawn of cable television.
Yes.
And I'm not impressed by this. I'm actually a little saddened.
Yeah, I'm really shocked they put this out. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's literally you couldn't have a more boring. I mean, it would be a field of grass would be more interesting than this pick. I mean, I'm serious. And it's just
Have you watched
it's
the
insane.
videos?
No, and I refuse to.
Okay.
Okay. Nick W says Orange Man bad. Yes, we know. Kat says if a HBO show focused mostly on Rorschach, it would be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. He was the most interesting character to me. Yeah, Rorschach was pretty cool.
Honestly,
But
we need a question TV show. That's
need
what we need.
that would be awesome. A good question.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even mind them taking the female version of it if they did it right. Yeah.
Could work.
Yeah, it could. But anyway, we just wanted to talk about that. And
Well-
other than that, anybody have any comments on the show itself?
Hold on.
Yeah, they really need to do their best, like you guys are saying, and for one thing and one thing alone, and that's of the Watchmen themselves. If they don't do this right, who's watching the Watchmen?
Yes, that would have been another angle to go, but they're not doing that. Anybody else? No. Okay.
The show's going to be.
No, we'll keep an eye on it, like we're keeping an eye on many other things. I mean, who knows? Like I have said, and like what DeWolf says as well. Just be patient and then judge it when it comes out. I mean, that's really it could be great. I mean, who knows? And to be honest with you, we're due some great superhero TV. We're due it. Because the only thing really that had any kind of shining light recently was that Daredevil season 3, which was fantastic. But yeah, other than that, All right, guys. Well, we have certainly messed around and wasted enough time here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over and we are going to start talking about the main topic of today, and that is the Punisher. So, first of all, what I want to know from each panelist, I'm going to start with Booster. Booster, tell us, have you ever read Punisher comics before, and what is your overall opinion of the character?
Oh, I don't think I've ever really read a Punisher comic, but I've read plenty of comics where the Punisher appeared, and I've always felt that the character, the Punisher, always held up a lot better as a supporting character in contrast to a main hero, particularly one that doesn't kill, like Daredevil or Spider-Man. You know, he's very good as a supporting character to uh, contrast their ideals. You know,
Mhm.
so this character doesn't kill, and this is why this character will blow these guys into freaking into freaking dust and bury them, and you know, and why that has some good components because they're genuinely evil characters in these comics. You know, genuinely evil, but of course, it always has consequences, very terrible consequences. As a main character, though, I've always felt I don't know. I don't think he's really ever had a good movie, and that's probably an unpopular opinion. I don't think any of his movies have been very good, and I don't think his TV show is very good as well. I don't think he can hold his own. But like I said, I haven't really read a Punisher comic before, so if people have recommendations for a good Punisher series to read, I'd be happy to take you up on that.
Oh, there are many, but that's just my opinion. DeWolf, give us your overall impression of the Punisher, man.
Yeah, Booster did a great job with that concept there in the fact that he's made a lot of appearances. I think I've read a few of his, like say, one shots and stuff. And once again, those can be good because they're short, they're sweet, they get the job done. You have to know what the character is about for his appearances to even matter. And then once you have that down, now he's a great character to throw in in all these different areas because who else will actually take out the villain and eliminate them permanently? You know, that's a big thing, especially when you watch villains over and over and over, you know, cause problems in society. Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
easier just to
yeah.
get rid of them? And so in that regard, I think he is good. He does hold his own. And that's another thing he has is regular normal, so to speak, firearms. You know, his super abilities are not like anyone else that's out there. He's not been bombarded with gamma radiation, this, that, or the other, you know. So it's nice to see someone that you can almost say, hey, it's a regular guy who's just fed up with the system and he's going to get the job done.
No, absolutely, dude. Okay, moving on. Denali, give us your overall on the Punisher, man.
Well, from what I've known about the character, I think this is like an answer to all those people who say, well, why don't the superheroes just kill them because they keep coming up and keep causing,
Mhm.
trouble? And Punisher is kind of the answer for that and say, well, this is what happened. And the natural result reaction is a revulsion. It's not easy to take a life. So you can say it, but when you're actually confronted with actually doing, people shy away from it, and it kind of exemplifies more of the hero quality, like Booster and the Wolf was saying that um heroes don't have to kill. There's a difference between justice and killing. Sometimes they are aligned together and sometimes they're worlds apart, and it doesn't, and then one person shouldn't take that decision in their own hands.
Absolutely.
And that's what the Punisher contrasts to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's a true vigilante. Yeah. Let me come over here, chat, real quick. Valen, it says the Mike Zack Punisher miniseries was great. Excellent. Nick W says Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon understand the Punisher best. Yeah, well, they should. Um, um, Captain Canada says, great show. He's talking about the Punisher one that was on Netflix, I'm assuming. And Pixel Trader says, Punisher was my gateway drug to comics. Punisher was the first book I collected. Wow, that's interesting. Actually, one of my best friends was the same exact way. My brother you might remember John and his brother. John was a big Punisher fan. Um,
Yeah, no, I absolutely do remember them. Yep.
yeah. Um, Punisher is just a pissed off dude with a couple of big guns. Yes, he is. That's exactly what it
You
is.
know, I reckon my favorite episode from Daredevil season 2 was the one where Punisher just had Daredevil chained to a chimney. That episode was
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
and they were just discussing their ideologies and the differences between them. I loved it.
Yeah, no, Captain Canada does make a fair point. Punisher is from the era of Death, Wish, and Dirty Harry. Yeah, no, he is certainly he's the true vigilante. It is true. Tank, why don't you give us your overall impressions of the Punisher?
Well, I've always loved the Punisher. My favorite runs were like War Journal and like what the other guys are saying. You know, when he's a supporting character. Um, and I always thought that he was a very topical character. He was not your regular hero. This guy was damaged. I thought he was a wonderful conversation piece on the subject of combat fatigue, or commonly referred to as, and you know what kind of a toll that takes on a person, and what happens when they just lose everything. And a beautifully beautiful, and Mike Barron, Chuck Dixon, of course, have really done the character the most justice. They really
They have.
knocked it out.
Yeah.
So, you know, and he's a good conversation piece to be added to your standard capes and tights, higher standards universe.
Yeah. No, cool. All very good sentiments for sure. So Tim, what do you got to say about the Punisher, man? What's your overall?
Um, yeah, I mean, I like the Punisher. Visually, a lot of times, I like how that character looks and how he's drawn. Um, but just like I think maybe it was Booster was saying, with the having that um, supporting character, that alter ego type idea, whatever you may want to call that. Because I've always said the same kind of things, like Gotham prisons must suck because they just keep coming back, coming back.
It's
But
a oh,
yeah, right. I mean, so when you get like the Punisher, that I thought the same thing. Why don't they just kill these guys instead of just giving them to sheriff or whatever? Chief Quimby. I don't know, but yeah, I like the Punisher. Punisher's cool. He's an answer to some problems sometimes, right?
Yeah, he is, and it is interesting comic book because, the comic heroes, and there's a very interesting thing we'll get to when we get to the comic, but the comic book heroes were pretty much, all across the board, don't kill. That's kind of their thing, and the Punisher is not the first one to do it, but he was the first one you really felt it. It came in and just no, this is nonsense. Get rid of the enemy, remove it, remove the threat. And there's a lot of real life truth to that because in reality, that's what you do. We don't sit here and do the things that Batman or Superman would do. No, we kill the threat. That's what we do. And Punisher kills the threat. But anyway, we have a general understanding what everybody's feeling on the Punisher is, and its overall seems to be pretty high. I think Punisher is a very popular character, and I would disagree a little bit with some of the statements in the fact that I actually liked the Netflix show. But to be honest, I did watch it with my wife, and she really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed it more because we were watching it together, I guess. But I would say that Punisher Warzone, the movie, was actually a lot of fun. The other movies aren't, but that one was actually pretty fun. You guys seen that one?
I'm not sure which one was directed by Patty Jenkins.
I'm not sure who the director is. It's got some unknown guy. I mean, don't. I mean, I've seen he's a character actor. I've seen him a couple times, but it's got this big guy. It was a great fun movie.
Oh, yes, I know that one. It was so silly. That's the one with that really campy jigsaw. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it was so campy, but it was very fun. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. You wanted to say something, Denali?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, let me go over here, and we got a few stills to look at before we jump into the comic book, and I want to get you guys back on the view here over here on the panel. Now, of course, right now, this show, when we talk about the comic at the end, we will talk about an over under, meaning is the character overrated or underrated? Now, so far, all the characters we've done or teams we've done are things that are kind of known are not necessarily known to the greater world. This one's a little different today because Punisher is well known. They've tried so many movies. They've tried, he's in a lot of the animated shows. He has his own TV show. The season 2 is coming up. So this character is far better known than the other ones we've done before. So I think this is a little bit different. But I did have some pictures I want to sit here and take a look at. And this right here, I thought was a great picture of Punisher. What do you guys think of this one?
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I like that one. He's got death behind him, and he's just mad crazy, got to kill everything. I think it's a great piece of art. And this is from Jusco. I don't know who that is, but I do love this. I wish Todd was here. Maybe Tank knows. Tank, do you know who Jusco is?
Uh, I am familiar with the signature, but I'm not familiar with the artist. Beyond that, sadly.
It's not a bad piece of work. And then, of course, I have some other this little pieces I took here with Punisher Warzone, Deadpool versus the Punisher, which there was a couple little funny issues in that I thought. Did you guys read that series at all?
I'm just glad that you changed the picture because the last one had so much toxic masculinity.
Oh yes, well, rawr, me man, feel my gun. Yeah, for sure. And I like this pic right here too of him just sullen in a chair. I thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, I am wasting too much time, so let's just get right to it. Boom. Now, before we get in and start reading the comic, and we will do an absolutely horrible job of it, and I hope you guys enjoy our stumbling over each other because that's half the fun, isn't it? We also have Pope Pixel. Why do I have more popes in here? Goodness gracious, Pixel. What did I tell you? All right, anyway, I'm not going to look at the chat for a little while because of that. So you guys blame Pixel for that. That's Pixel's fault. Anyway, we come over here and look at this comic that I have up, and you see, of course, that this is Spider-Man Marvel Comics, and actually this is a reprint. The original one said, or maybe it wasn't the original one, but the one I remember seeing was Stan Lee Presents. Now, is that the original or is that one of the reprints?
The original was Stanley
Presents, right? That's what I thought. So this is one of the reprints I have here. But there is something I want to talk about because this is a very interesting point to this comic in particular. This is from 1979, I think. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around that time. This up here is very interesting. Approved by the Comics Code Authority. So they approved Punisher. And of course, we know that Punisher very soon is going to become something that would never be approved by the Comics Code Authority. So this is interesting because that is still going on, and we know that Marvel dropped this not too long after this, and they just got completely abandoned the whole code thing. But what do you guys think about this? The age of this comic and the fact that the Comic Code Authority its stamp is on this book with Punisher in it.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's actually going as far as murder yet. Do they not understand? You know, he's deadly. Well, they're all deadly, but I don't think he's gotten to that point. I don't think they understand that he's gonna be in the line of murderous.
Yeah, but he, of course, he does go. It's just interesting to me that it's there. And maybe one of you guys can explain to those who don't know exactly what is the Comics Code Authority. One of you guys, maybe Danelli.
Well, it's basically the Comics Code Authority, for those who weren't alive at that time when they repealed it, was basically the government came in and said, these comics are too dangerous for the minds of the kids. There's too much violence. There's too much sex, too much everything. And we're going to impose a comics code, that standard that you guys have to adhere by because these are products for the children. And this is why we went from the golden age to the silver age and all the goofiness because of this comic codes authority situation. So think about it as the now E ratings on game, except with teeth. It actually is teeth. This is the reason why all the major companies self-regulated because of the Comics Code Authority. So you want to know why? Hey, why does this game has T or M or whatever? Comics Code Authority is the actual rating system that had T supported and authorized by the government of the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah, and it's also this code here, which has been was came out a long time ago, was actually what kind of pushed Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Jack Kirby to go and form their own company, which of course became Marvel. So them wanting to try to get out from underneath it is a very important factor in the inception of Marvel Comics. So this code is very rather important, actually. But I just wanted to mention that off the top because I thought it was interesting to see that on a Punisher book. But as you see here, we have the amazing Spider-Man. He's different. He's deadly. He's the Punisher. I have a little thing down the original one. I think the cover was slightly different, but it says the most lethal hired assassin ever. His assignment: kill Spider-Man. And behind the most murderous plot of all times, there lurks the Jackal. Now I never cared much for the Jackal, but you know. Now here we go. We have an ad. Now I know that Tank Ferret is just so excited because he loves those old ads.
They're awesome.
Yeah, you
Oh
remember
yeah,
these
me
though,
too.
guys? You see, you're a wimp. You get pushed around on the beach. You go do this, whatever it is, Charles Atlas, and then you're going to be able to go back and beat up the guy who is bullying you. How
I
awesome!
gotta say, this is a tale of how a man becomes a booster boy. This is a story.
But I used to love these things. But look at the. You could never have this ad in a comic today. Look at that. You get bullied. You build yourself up. You come back and you kick the snot out of the guy who was giving you a hard time. Then the girl loves you because, ooh, you're so macho. You can never have this today. It's funny.
I love it so much. That's
There's a
funny.
lot of stuff that they used to put in the old comics and cartoons as far as that goes. It would never fly today,
No,
especially if you
absolutely.
get back around wartime and stuff. Some of it was really bad.
Yeah. Over here
So
in the chat, Captain Kenner says Punisher was meant to be one-off style villain, but he was so popular they used him more. Yeah, I had heard something like that.
Yep.
And Pixel says Captain Kenner, right? I mean, who can take a dude with a huge white skull on his chest seriously? Uh-huh. The unbreathable skunk girl, who, and I saw Manny in here earlier. Hello, Manny. The unbreathable skunk girl says konnichiwa, Chester and chat. Well, konnichiwa. And I see some other chats, and you guys mess around in here as usual. So have fun. But let's get right into this, guys. The Punisher strikes twice. Back, whatever that means. It's a very odd sounding thing. We see the Punisher. He is shooting a statue of Spider-Man, and we have the Jackal. Now, so who should I choose to be the Jackal? Who would have a great Jackal? Oh, I know, Tank. You go ahead and you be the Jackal. I will read narration. Who's going to be Spider-Man?
Well, that should be Booster.
Okay, Booster's Spider-Man, and who wants to be? We'll have DeWolf be the Punisher, and who wants to be Jameson?
have your brother Tim be him.
Okay, you be JJ Tim, and then Denali
Uh,
would read all
All
the
right.
extra stuff. Okay,
right.
so
Before we jump in,
Mhm.
let's talk about the Jackal for one moment,
no, go ahead.
which is we don't know as the reader at this time, but for those who will follow along and read future issues, the Jackal was first introduced in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 31, which we didn't know at that time, and he's the main person that was behind the
Infamous, yes.
infamous, the infamous Clone Saga conspiracy.
Oh, interesting. And yeah, let's just mention the guys involved. We got Jerry Conway, who is definitely a protege of Stan Lee. We have artists being done by Ross Andrew. We have inkers here. I can't. What is this? Giocoia and Hunt. And we have lettering from Joe Costanza and Dave Hunt, and of course the editor, the great Roy Thomas. Um, we should talk more about Roy one day. That's a great guy. But anyway, let's go ahead and who is our jackal again? I think that was Tank. Yeah, so Tank, jackal it up.
Yes. Magnificent! You demolished the plaster statue on the first shot! If you do as well with the real Spider-Man, my friend, you have performed the world a truly great service.
In a chamber hidden from all prying eyes but ours, two men prepare for the death of a certain wall-crawling hero, and the first step in a master plan of evil takes ominous form.
Don't speak
you know,
too soon, Jackal. The action on this concussion rifle is still a little stiff. All I need to have the mechanic look it over before I go against that web-slinging menace.
Certainly, certainly. But the point is, you can kill him.
You think I enjoy that?
Of course you do, my friend. That's why they call you the Punisher, isn't it? You like the death, the killing, the joyful revenge.
I kill only those who deserve killing, Jackal. And Spider-Man deserves to die.
Spidey's up.
Never
Buster.
thought I'd get bored with web slinging, but right now I'm so absolutely sick of it. I could chuck my web shooters down the first sewer I see. It's the air in the crummy burg down the streets. It's bad enough. But up here in Spidey country, it's positively murder. And speaking of murder, it looks like the fair crooks of Manhattan have finally come back from summer vacation. I should get some pretty fine pics for Joe Jameson's new rag out of this, which may just get him off my back about the salary he's been paying me. Of course, if he knew Spider-Man was snapping all these crime photos for him and not Peter Parker, old Jolly Jonah would simply explode.
boss, look, it's Spider-Man, character we heard about in Detroit. He's coming after us. What are we gonna do? Relax, Bill.
You got it.
Go ahead.
Relax, Bebo. For what I hear, he's as much of a crook as we are. He probably just wants part of the take. Buddy, have you got your wires crossed? I'm one of the Black Hats. I've never heard that term before.
I'm not one of the Black Hats.
I'm not. Oh my goodness! I'm not one of the Black Hats. I'm just your average friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Denali, go ahead, dude.
Okay. So we got you pegged wrong, Punk. Big deal. That means we'll just take you out the hard way. But Punk will still take you out.
Fat chance of that, handsome. Or hadn't you heard? I've got the proportionate strength of a spider. And some of the spiders need abilities too. Of course, there's one trick of his I don't have naturally. I'm not what you'd call a web slinger myself.
Get him! I want that Punk dead!
Twip, twip. But I've got these real fancy gadgets that do the job nicely. Not as good as the real thing, mind you, but effective. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, now Booster, I got to ask you a question. Why? First of all, good attempt at an American accent. Attempt, I do say. Secondly, why is Spider-Man sound like that?
What? That's the perfect Spider-Man impression. What are you talking about?
What are you talking? That's
It's
nothing like Spider-Man.
You know what's funny? When the Jackal is saying "my friend," isn't that like common of what most of these writers, when they're antagonizing us, say? Listen, my friend, you are a racist bigot and just isn't that the same cadence that they use? I just realized that.
Yeah,
They start talking.
but I do like the writing here. This is very reminiscent of Stan. That's why I said protege with a guy. The writing,
Yeah.
the flow of it, the explaining what you're doing as it's going on. It's very reminiscent of Stan Lee, and it just is really nice. And we'll see more points of that later on as we read some more. It's very reminiscent of that era of comic books, and it's such a fun thing to be able to go back and read one of these old comics. It's pretty cool. All right, let's continue here. And so, a few minutes later, as two of New York's finest arrive in a if a, arrive a bit belatedly.
You think people would stop their cars when they hear sirens? No wonder we'll never, huh? Yeah, isn't it a little early for Christmas presents?
Booster.
Oh, I'm here. A gift from me to you, officer. Though it probably won't do my reputation one bit of good. This entire town's convinced I killed Norman Osborn, thanks to Jameson and the Daily Bugle. Even the crooks think I'm one of them. And since I don't dare come forward in my own defense for fear of having my real identity exposed, I've just got to suffer. And do I ever suffer? How can I tell them that Osborn was the Green Goblin, that he killed Gwen Stacy, the girl I loved? Who would believe a known public menace and worse? Do I even want to tell them? What would it do to Harry, my best pal and roommate? Osborn was his father. Bad enough his dad's dead, but he found out the truth. But if he found out the truth, guess there's nothing I can do. Only thing is there ever?
Goodness gracious.
Hey,
Why
you guys
crying?
know- Did you guys notice how you can find out about the new character Moonstone in the next issue of Captain America? That was
Yes.
cool.
That was cool. And I have to talk about this center panel for a minute. Oh, goodness gracious. Take a look at that face.
Well, that's a handsome lad.
This is a maniac about to murder the world, is what it looks like.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Once he
Please not-
cracks, he's going ahead.
Jeez. Okay, but we're coming in here. We're going to talk to Jameson. So let me just jump down to the bottom of the page. And this right here is not, we don't need it. Although it does show a little bit that Spider-Man is more of a dude instead of the thing that Booster's trying to make him sound like. But go ahead. Let's read this and go into the next part. And remember, you are doing the people in the office, Tim. You got to do the dude sitting. You got to do JJ Jonah.
If you want me to start at the top, you got to scroll back down.
No. I want Booster to say, "Hiya, Robbie. Hello, JJ." And then I want and then
Hi, Robbie. Hello, JJ.
I've got some news photos for you.
No,
Fresh from-
that's not you.
Oh, no,
That's
that's
not
still
you.
him too,
That's
huh?
Booster. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is a miss.
We're doing
It
good.
is. Yeah, we're doing horrible. Booster, go ahead.
I've got some news photos for you, fresh from the shooting.
Peter Parker, long time no see, amigo.
That's you.
Parker!
You gotta scroll up.
Parker!
Too. Oh goodness. All right, go ahead.
That's my name, JJ, and have I got pics for you. Spider-Man breaking up this armed car robbery.
Don't mention that costume freak in my presence, Parker. And don't give me this nonsense about Robin. I want news photos. Take a look at this, Peter. All photos about news. The New Yorker Star. I didn't know you allowed your rival's paper in the
No.
building, JJ.
No,
Uh-oh.
that's Booster again.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Well,
Have you ever read
they're
a
getting
comic
out
book?
The
Anyway.
Punisher, I've heard about him.
You
That's
heard
you,
about
Tim.
him.
That's you, Tim. Go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting. There's the Punisher. I heard about him. You heard about him. That's good, Parker. You gotta scroll it up. That's excellent. He's only the most newsworthy thing to happen in New York since Boss Tweed. And you've heard of him? Lord, do I deserve this? Do I truly deserve this?
You want pictures of him? Is that it, JJ?
Yes, you idiot. I want pictures of him, and I want them now.
So why didn't you just say so? Here, JJ. In the meantime, fill up space with a robbery.
Scroll up a little. The developing, the developing comes out of your salary, Parker. Do you hear? Out of your salary.
A short
Not
while
enough,
later,
not enough.
in the dingy
Disc
sky
pumping.
over what was once the world's largest city.
Easy for Jameson to say, but how do I find this Punisher guy? He's not going to be advertising himself and continued after next page.
Yes. More advertisements, more advertisements. And
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
we will hold it right here. Now we're coming into some action, and Spidey's talking to himself, and there's just a bunch of action here. Well, let's take a moment and go back at the look at the book a little bit. I'm going to come over here to the chat and see if anybody has anything to say. Booster is complaining that someone is insulting the Booster Boys, which fair enough. It's Skeleton. Good voice acting, solid. Cat says 10-10 on voices. Captain Candace says kick Booster. Sierra Whiskey says, oh, horrible Spidey voice. Dishonor. Dishonor. I agree. That was horrible. Dishonor Booster. Yes. Jordan says, it's terrible. Booster says, it's 100% accurate. I have no idea what you're talking about. And Jordan says, I can do better. So basically, Booster, they hate you.
What? Oh, I have no idea what any of you are on about, quite frankly.
You know the sad thing about it is, Booster, as you were reading through it with the actual dialogue, it fits. It shouldn't fit, but it does fit.
That's how I
not
feel.
right,
it's like
dude.
The 60s Spider-Man cartoon. That's what I'm going for.
Oh my. But we've got to kind of jump through a couple pages here. They're just having a fight, and I like this. One little thing I like right here. You notice this panel here, Tank, where they're having the motion of acrobatics and stuff. It's just very clever little way to do two-dimensional static art. Do we see a lot of this anymore, Tank?
No. We don't see a lot of action lines anymore. We also don't see a lot of story compressed into comic pages like this anymore. Like, just this page alone would be like 3 or 4 pages in a modern comic.
That's true. That is true. But I like it, man. They do that a lot in here. This is certainly representing that kind of action, but it works so well. I mean, just by seeing this here, where Spider-Man is crunched over, and we see, Punisher standing over here. But this little line shows us exactly what he did. It's wonderful, and I don't know why they don't do that anymore. But anyway, they just have a little fight here, and Spider-Man gets the upper hand, and then he finds a piece of evidence. Now, more advertising, lots of advertisements. You must be happy here. Now, this right here we should read, and I guess I should a couple of, but I won't finish it. So we'll just do this piece and then go back and talk about the Punisher more. But right here, I think is a very interesting thing. And let's see, who hasn't tried yet? Who wants to be Harry Osborn?
I'll be Harry.
Tank
Go
will
ahead,
be
Tank.
Harry. Oh, okay. All
Or-
right. Let Tank be Harry. And Denali, why don't you try Peter better? Because I think this New Zealander doesn't get it.
What? Oh.
All right, I'll try my
Going
best.
on strike.
Strike. Okay. Man, I'm a case. And here I was getting a couple of $1,000s to build a car for a new non-polluting engine because Spider-Man is a big name, and I still got to do my own sewing. Ow! Next thing you know, I'll be giving myself hepatitis from a rusty sewing nail. Got my thumb pain.
He's still there, waiting for me. Because he knows I'm the Green Goblin. I thought he was my friend, but I realize now no one is Harry Osborn's friend. I'm all alone with my inevitable destiny.
We'll worry some more about Harry's sanity next issue. Right now, let's look in on yet another member of our cast, one of Peter's feminine friends, which I would not have chose that word. And then we'll stop right here because it gets into a little. All right, someone needs to shut that off. Who?
that's that's your brother.
Damn.
Okay. Now, the thing here is this is a little bit better face. I'm sure Booster is a little bit happy with this Mary Jane, but we're going to go ahead and
I can-
stop the comic right there for a minute, and I'm going to drop it off. So let me, because I want to move to the end, and we can't show every page because of copyright strikes and stuff like that. So let's just go ahead and have you, as I'm doing this, you guys go ahead and talk about this comic book overall, what you thought about it, and of course, the Punisher, his first appearance. Go ahead and talk about that while I set this up.
Well, first
This is
off,
one of my. Oh, go ahead, DeWolf.
what we see the Punisher do is blast, Spidey right out of the air, and I think it's fairly interesting because here we see something that we saw Craven actually do back in our first comics of this type, and it starts off just right off the bat with Punisher laying into him with the firearms, and then there was a little tussle afterwards. So I thought that was interesting with explosives as well. Go ahead, Tank.
Well, this is one of my favorite comics of all time. And because it really honestly feels like I got a lot of story, like so much. I feel like I got 2 comic books worth of story in this, and the artwork and the writing, the positioning of the bubbles, the editor's comments, and the narration is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Like this, you could make a movie from this single comic. And that's how often can you say that? You can make a whole movie from a single issue.
That is true. You could. Yeah. And I agree 100% with that because another thing I really loved about rereading this comic was just the nostalgia of how they used to draw things, how they used to write things. It's so well written. It's so informative. It gives you so much information in such a small space. It really shows the craft at its best in this comic, as did many of those at that time. And of course, these days we just don't see a lot of good craft anymore. But that's just what I think. What about you, Booster? What are you thinking about this book overall as we're going through it?
Yeah, everything's all right.
Reckons it. All right. All right. DeWolf. Sorry, not DeWolf. Denali.
Okay. Wolf, did you want to say some more just to be certain?
Just to get Chester's goat.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait, don't talk about goats around here. We don't need some Ezra
No.
Millers.
No Ezra Miller goat jokes, please. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it was interesting to see Punisher actually come forward in this particular instance because we haven't really seen anything about where he's going to be going in the future. There's not much character development here. The concept of him being an assassin is a lot different than what we, have known and grow to love, so to speak, about the Punisher. And then he just, tries to take him out quick and easy, once again with lots of firearms, and then they got to tussle and he has to, run off. So that's kind of interesting to see where the Punisher goes after seemingly a defeat at the hands and feet of Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Denali, did you want to make a comment on that?
Well, I think it tells still why we kind of root for Spider-Man, because we're given those little reminder. Remember, this is just after Gwen Stacy has been killed.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Osborn has been killed. His friend is going crazy, but he doesn't really know that. His life is slowly unraveling. And the only thing that he still has positive is Mary Jane and being Spider-Man at this moment. That's why you kind of see that fake smile, that facade of Peter Parker, before he goes down to meet JJ. It's kind of tries to say everything's all right because I still got these two things. And then he's still, this is a Spider-Man that's still thoughtful. He's not assuming anything with the Punisher, because as we're going to read, I don't know if we're going to read some more pages or anything, he kind of convinced the Punisher that, he's being used. And, kind of show Punisher, look, your method, while you think it's justified, what if you're going after a wrong man who's innocent and you end up killing him?
Spoilers, Denali.
It's
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yes.
But that's one of the reasons why the heroes don't kill. It's they'd rather save the one innocent person than kill somebody by mistake.
And
like,
it's an interesting point you made. I'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So,
well, brother, other than doing an absolute horrible job of reading a comic book, what do you think?
I think it's okay. I haven't actually read this comic. You guys are up on so many more than me on this kind of stuff. But I know, just in general, I do like the Punisher and how he comes in and stuff. As far as his first coming in, like in this story and stuff, I really can't comment on it a whole lot.
Oh, cool. No, that's fine. That's fine. But just to continue on the point that Denali made, and we kind of skipped through the action scenes in there a little bit. But what happens is Spider-Man gets knocked off the roof, and Punisher goes to save him, but the Jackal gets in the way, and the Punisher is very angry at the Jackal for doing that because that's not an honorable way to die. A hero does not let someone die by accident; they shoot them in the face. That's Punisher's thinking. And he's very angry with the Jackal because the Jackal is done with him because he thinks Spider-Man's dead too. Of course, he's not because he's Spider-Man. The Jackal has his own little machinations going on, and the Punisher isn't part of that. Now, the Punisher is going to go and try to finish the job because he said he would. And Spider-Man found a gun on the property. When he got back from being knocked off the building, he found a gun and it had Reese Armory on it. So Spider-Man is doing some detective work, and he has found himself over at Reese Armory to check it out, and he's just stumbled across a dead body. And of course, the Punisher was heading there as well to get his gun replaced because he needs his guns, and they got left at the scene. So this is where we're going to pick it up. Let me go over here and share this with everybody else, and then I'll come over here and share with you guys so we can continue reading and take a look at how this story ends, okay? All right. So, let's continue with Denali as Spider-Man and DeWolf as the Punisher. So, go ahead, guys.
For a guy without a fancy costume, you got the tricks of the trade down pat.
DeWolf. Okay. Booster, be Punisher, man.
All right, I know the Punisher. Reese, you killed him too? I spent 3 years in the Marine, Spider-Man. I didn't. What?
Somehow I knew you'd say that, but can't we talk this over like citizens people, or do we have to keep this up until one of us is killed?
I don't make deals with murderers, Spider-Man. Especially a man who killed my friend.
You're jumping to conclusion, buddy. And look at your pal's necks. Don't those marks look at least a bit familiar?
I've heard that kind of line before, masked man. From men who'd kill their own mothers for the price of a fix. And I don't buy your games. No way, my friend.
That's too bad, Punisher. That doesn't leave me much choice. Because if it's a toss-up between you and me, whoop. The man I'm rooting for to win is me.
A few minutes later, when the black-clad vigilante called the Punisher has revived.
Forgive me for being so rough, friend, but I was pretty sure I wouldn't beat you by using kid's gloves. And now, will you look a little bit more closely to Reese's body?
Ugh. Do I have a choice?
Not much.
Lord in heaven, Those marks, like claw marks of some kind. Like claws from hands with fingernails, almost jackal-like, perhaps.
I know precisely what kind, and so do you. I got a handful of them across the back of my head from that pal of yours.
The jackal! He did this, but why?
One question first. Did I did you leave this armoner's plate on that crazy rifle of yours, or was it off?
Do you think I'm crazy? Again, why?
Then that wasn't the gun you dropped. This jackal friend of yours took it and replaced it with the one that still had the plate. To incriminate you, of course, he knew you had to come back here tonight, so he planted the evidence the cop wouldn't have found if I hadn't. Then to tie up neatly, he killed the old man so you would have found to be found with him.
He was gone for a while this evening, an hour ago. But what's the purpose?
To get rid of you after you got rid of me. In that case, if you haven't already guessed, fella, I'm not a murderer. I'm one of the good guys, I think.
Then he used me like a pawn. He'll pay for that. He'll pay.
Say, friend, what's this whole kick you're on? You said you were a Marine, so how come you're fighting over here?
That's my business, superhero, not yours. Maybe when I'm dead, it'll mean something. But right now, I'm just a warrior, fighting a lonely war.
Really? Something tells me that man got a problem that makes mine look like a birthday party. Uh-oh. Police sirens. 5 will get you 10. They were tipped off, and naturally, since I'm the only one visible, they'll lay the whole blame on me.
Spider-Man!
What did I tell you? This is just my week.
Well, well, it appears you escaped this time, web slinger. But I promise you, you won't be so fortunate again. If I'm to take over the city, I must first destroy you, and I will. This the Jackal swears!
You'll learn more of the mysterious Jackal's plans next issue, also featuring Hammerhead. I
think you
Hammerhead.
need an evil laugh to finish it off with, Tank.
Go ahead, Tank. Give us an evil laugh. Sweet.
Yeah, look.
Oh no, that's not right. Okay, enough of that snidely whiplash stuff. All right, one thing I thought was kind of cool. We've been kind of jumping through the ads here real quick, but I remember this one a lot. Talking about drafting kits, and it's just a lot of nostalgia with stuff. And of course, this one right here, Ideal presents the exciting adventures of Evil Knievel. Dude, I had this toy. Tim, do you remember this toy? We used to play with it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Played with it for years.
Yeah. He'd jump across the room. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of this comic, and it ends really well, and the Punisher's going off on his path, and it's just a brief meeting between the two here. But I think it's a great comic. I really enjoyed it myself. Reading it again, I know I read it originally, but reading it again was a lot of fun, and the voice acting, for the most part, was okay. But I think some of the charm is, as Denali has said, is how horribly we do that. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and wrap this up and give our general finishing opinions of the comic itself as well as Punisher. So let's go ahead and start this time with my brother. Now, we went through this comic and we read, we know everything that happened in it, and tell us what you think about it. And in general, do you think that Punisher is an underrated character or an overrated character?
Okay. Well, as far as going through the comic like we did, yeah, it's good. I'm gonna have to actually go get it and read through it all the way correctly. But as far as the Punisher in general, like we were saying earlier, he's good to have out there as that. Not really. I don't know if it's called like an anti-hero or something like that, but like you were saying, he will go out and get the job done instead of having that high moralistic values. He'll deviate from that a bit, which is a good addition to a lot of stories. It deepens and expands things a little bit further. And do I think that he's overrated or underrated? I think he's pretty popular. A lot of people like him. Um, but I think maybe as more people get to know it and hear about it, with movies and shows and other things, if more people get into reading the comics, he would definitely be a character that could be right up there with the top of, with some of the best out there. He's good.
So you think he's just where he belongs?
Um, yeah, pretty close. I think, yeah, he's growing with what he is, I would say. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Tank, same question.
I'm kind of with your brother that he's where he belongs. He's right up there in the pantheon of iconic characters. He's a whole trope, this whole series of tropes is based off of him. So it's an original, awesome design and kind of a tough one to write well. But he's a part of the culture at this point. So I'd say he's where he belongs.
Cool. Interesting. What do you think, Janelli?
I would say the same. I mean, this first outing kind of made him look like a dupe for the Jacko, but we know based on the history of what he goes through and what he is fighting for, he's there. After the Punisher, you get more edgy, characters and edgy storylines. So he's a introduction to that avenue of more gritty, storylines that wouldn't have necessarily come through had the Punisher not been created, or at least this incarnation of the Punisher.
Cool. All right. And so you think everyone so far thinks he's right where he belongs. Is your opinion the same to Wolf, or do you differ?
Boy, I'm having a hard time because I kind of started along with the concept that he may be right where he's at, and then I thought about it and I'm thinking maybe he's a little bit overrated.
Hmm.
So first off, I want to say what happened here at the end. Is this where the Punisher learned to interrogate Daredevil on Netflix through what he received from Spider-Man? Because
Maybe.
as I was looking at that, I kind of noticed a vague similarity over the decades on these particular scenes, and especially the one that Booster had pointed out. But so one thing that caught me was he is an absolute soldier, right? Talking about his time in the military, and he takes from that, directly this aspect of I'm killing people. And I thought about that for a second, and yeah, we get Captain America. He's a soldier as well, but we rarely do we get these gung ho. No, we don't. We get a lot of gung ho guys, especially back in that era. We had a lot of gung ho guys who were military. We had GI Joe, and at this point, I think it would be nice to see someone who was that military aspect, who could also have the strength and the bravado, and not that kind of crazy tilt that he has. And can we have that without necessarily the death's head skull shape? Because everyone likes that darker aspect. Not everyone. There's a vast majority of people that like the darker, the grittier, near horror concept of, I don't care about trying to reform someone. I don't care about being good. I want to just go ahead and annihilate this person.
Yeah. Well, some people
And
need killing.
yeah, I know. So that's where I'm on the fence. That's what got me leaning over a little bit more towards the overrated section. But the more I've seen the movies, and they've not really portrayed him well in some of them, and then finally Netflix actually did do him well. Um, my final tally has to be that I actually think he is right where he needs to be.
All right. Interesting. Well, that seems to be the consensus. Booster, tell us what you think.
Whew. I think he's a really odd character. I personally feel, and this is, of course, I'd like people to come to correct me and tell me if I'm missing something, but I feel he's a character who has a lot of potential that he has never quite reached. I think there's some great stories that are being told with him, and I don't feel some have been told. And I would like people to give me comic book recommendations on what they feel the best comics for the Punisher would be, but he has been tried with so many like B grade movies. He's had more people play the Punisher than almost as many as people have played Batman in live action. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There have been
Yeah.
different people trying to take on the role of Punisher, and none of those movies have been particularly excellent. Maybe I'm just trying to look for something more deep than
Go get the
and
Chuck Dixon version, dude.
yeah, of course, I'll check it out.
Or Garth Ennis
Mm,
Punisher.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I'll give those a go. And I felt he was done excellent. Like he was absolutely excellent in season 2 of Daredevil, where he was this force of nature that the villains were terrified of. I love that. But then we got his solo series Punisher, where he was kind of mopey, wants to stay out of everything. The first episode dealt with workplace bullying, for the Lord's sake. and I don't feel that show did him as much justice as Daredevil season 2. It did the whole PTSD angle and just moping about. I love him being this terrifying force of nature. That's where I think he shines the most. Whether underrated, overrated, I don't know. I can't really say. I feel like he's been tried a lot of times, but I don't feel like his potential has been reached.
So you would say he's underrated.
Perhaps.
Okay.
I really want to see a really damn good Punisher story because I love the idea of him. I just don't feel like I've seen a story
Well, there are.
that good.
So you should go check
Hmm.
them out.
I will. I absolutely love.
Now, I believe that my opinion is I have enjoyed many Punisher books. I like the Punisher. I think on a lot of the movies and attempts to put him into a live action media has failed in some places, in some ways, quite spectacularly. But so I would vote that Punisher is underrated, actually, because he has so much better potential. It's very similar to the Craven character, I think, in that way. Even though he is more popular and more known, I
Yeah.
think we could see so much better with the Punisher, especially in mass media, in
Yeah.
TV shows and stuff like that. Now, I do want to say something else about this comic in particular. Um, what a joy it was to go back and reread Spider-Man being Spider-Man. He's cool, he's confident, he's capable, he's doing good detective work. He is Spider-Man. Because these days, what do we get? We get this whining, silly, aimless simp that is
Oh yeah.
Peter Parker. And it's like it's just really distressing. I don't they really are not handling Peter Parker well at all. Now, the whole idea of this Spider-Verse and trying to bring in all these other spider-themed characters, I had no problem with that. Cool. Make it interesting. They didn't. There's a couple of characters that are better than others, for to be sure. But I just really hate what they're doing with Spider-Man right now. He is not that. He is this. This is Spider-Man, cool, confident. He keeps his emotions tight. He's always joking about, but he's very clever. He's very capable, and he's a good detective. And this story shows him being a detective as it should be. When's the last time we seen Spider-Man being a detective? I mean, that's what a superhero does, right? It's they're detectives. They're finding out what went on. But these days, he's just in the right place at the right time, or he's being told what to do by some female character, and he's like, "Yes, ma'am," because he's an absolute simp, right?
Well,
And
it's not even that. It's more of lazy writing. You see in the earlier issues in the earlier comics that they actually took the time to show each hero. You saw Batman, you saw Superman, you saw Spider-Man, Captain America. You saw all these characters actually do detective work in their issues.
yes, yes,
And along the way, they're like this. They checked it out for more action and for more drawings.
hmm
and less story. And it's kind of a correlation that's kind of happening. Like less dialogue happening, the arts is more detailed, more expensive, and they're like resting on the laurels of the art. But the comic book is a two-part component, which is the art and the words. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you can't have one without the other. And that's the unfortunate imbalance that there is. And now we have basically nice looking art for most cases, but terrible story. And you have it going sinking down further and further, not getting why do nobody's buying our products kind of deal.
Well, it's true. Mighty Geek Studios over here says Spider-Man and Superman are not seen as detectives. Well, Superman is he cheats because superheroing and all that. But Spider-Man
But
most certainly used to be seen as a detective all the time. He did this all the time in the early comic books. This was very normal.
um, let me point out one thing. What is Clark Kent's normal job?
Journalist.
A journalist, mild mannered reporter.
You
What
might
do
say
journal?
investigative journalism.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So what do you do in an investigative journalism? You look and research and detect.
Yes, it's called investigate. Anyway,
Yes.
but I just saying that because now recently I did see Spider-Man comic book that I actually did like. I think it was done by Chip Zdarsky, and it was in a situation. The art was amazing too, where Peter was stuck in a building and he had lost his spider sense, and it was very interesting to see because that spider sense makes him as difficult an opponent as he is because of his spider sense. It is overwhelming power of his. And in that Chip Zdarsky comic, he took it away, and it was very good comic. It was actually a great Spider-Man comic, and I was like, "Wow, this is really awesome." Did you guys read that?
I'm afraid I never did.
Yeah, you might want to
So,
check that out. As
uh,
far as recent Spider-Man, I think that's one of the best offerings we have had. But
Hmm.
anyway, anybody else got anything else to say before we close this up today?
yeah, I think the best film adaptation for The Punisher was the 10 or 12 minute long short film called Dirty Laundry, starring Thomas Jane. I've Even though it's just a short little insight and whatnot, I felt that like that was the comic book Punisher kind of coming to life for a minute.
Wow, I haven't seen that. I'll have to go check that out. That's interesting. Anybody else? All
You can
right.
find it on YouTube.
Oh, I will. I'll go find it. You said Dirty
Yeah.
Laundry Punisher.
Mighty Geek Studio says Clark Kent is an investigative journalist. Peter Parker is a photojournalist. Exactly.
Yeah,
People
but
keep
what
forgetting about.
Yeah, that's true. But what I meant was in the early comics here, Spider-Man did a lot of detective work. It was pretty much standard part of his character. And these days, like I said, but in these days, it's almost Spider-Man is almost treated like a sidekick, to be honest with you. When they had it with Mockingbird or whatever else. He's often treated as a sidekick. He's a fool. He's goofy. He's silly. And it's just not Spider-Man. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I don't know why you would do that to your main character. This is your stable. It's Spider-Man. But
Well, it became more goofy when, coincidentally, when Dan Slott took over
oh
Spider-Man,
God, do not mention Dan Slott.
and then he became more goofy and less responsible with the Ultimate Spider-Man with Brian Bendis.
Oh
So,
God, Booster, I want a Dan Slott and a Bendis, please, please, please.
Both of them
Yes,
at the
both of
same
them.
time.
At the same time, please. Yes.
Slut! Vengeance!
Thank you, Booster. Yes, those two guys are horrible. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Denali, of course. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for coming and joining us. It's a lot of fun getting to talk about the Punisher, getting to read through a book, and I think eventually we are going to be get pretty good at reading them. And we see there are some good voices. We just need to make it smoother, and we will work on that. But it was certainly, I think the overall thinking is Punisher is exactly where he should be, which is cool. And we have a lot of shows we do here. We have the Comic News Today, and we have, of course, Fanspeak and Bugbear's Basement. They're all at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have the Fan Edition, but that isn't always here of Drawn and Quartered. That moves around, and it's great that it does. So check all those things out. Definitely come back. And let me just go here, and most of us can be found right here on Fanspeak. But I do know that Tank has some additional places you can find him and some projects going on, including, excuse me, including one that I'm part of, which is Tales from Beyond the Gate. So, Tank, why don't you tell people where they can find you and tell them a little bit about your projects, please?
Well, right now we are working on the pre-production for Tales from Beyond the Gate, which will be a quarterly anthology that rotates and changes its focused genre. The first issue will be focusing on horror, and we are submit to John Dillard Gaming the System by January 15th. Completed projects for consideration for this endeavor.
Awesome. And you also have Scalpel Zero coming out soon?
That is true. I am launching a science fiction action adventure, and intrigue noir called Scalpel Zero. I'll be talking about that more tonight on with Manny on Good Dog Press.
Mhm. And John Diller says, "Great show, love it." Awesome, thank you, John. Thanks for the support, and of course, keep in mind that we're going to be talking about Tales from Beyond the Gate more and more here and everywhere else. But when that gets really moving, we'll give you more details of what's going on with that. But other than that, thank you all very much. We appreciate all your support. We appreciate your likes, your subscribes, and of course your sharing. Don't forget all our links we got down below, and keep coming back and supporting us, guys. It's really great. We're loving the community. We're loving the interaction. We're loving the chat. And as always, we are going to have Denali end the show.
All right. So should I announce our guests for Fanspeak?
Please do. We
This
have
Friday?
2 of them.
So we have 2 of them. So at the 8 o'clock hour of Fanspeak, we will have Tim Lim as our guest. So the first hour is going to be Tim Lim. The second hour is going to be Vince Fernandez.
Vince Rodriguez. And
Sorry,
Vince Rodriguez is an
Rodriguez.
amazing artist, and
Sorry.
I hope you guys come and
Yeah.
check it out, both of those out. Tim Lim, of course, is famous for Black Ops, as well as Trump Space
Mhm.
Force and other things. He's been doing this a long time, so we're really looking forward to talking to Mr. Lim. Go ahead, Denelli.
Right, and I do apologize. I was looking at my black and white, so it slipped. Black and red, sorry. So we have Vince Rodriguez at the 9 o'clock hour. So it's definitely going to be an interesting fan speak show with both guests. Both guests will be giving a lot of knowledge about what's they've been up to. So join us at that time. We also have Fan Edition this week. Do you know where Fan Edition is going to be hosted? Or is that still?
Unfortunately, not. We had a place set up, but that fell through. So I'm sure Pixel knows, and he's on that. If not, like I said, if it comes to the point where we don't have the default for FanSpeak, Drawn Recorded FanSpeak is right here on this channel. So we will announce when we know. But other than that, even if it's not announced or you don't hear any information, it's here. So just come on back for it.
Awesome. Well, then, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for Bugbear's Basement, and I hope you join us tomorrow for Comics News Today. Otherwise, your perception shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
Later, guys.
Namaste.